It's a marketing business at the end of the day. Like, as good as you can get your message in front of sellers, as good as you understand PPC and SEO and crafting a good mailer list to send to people, and having that mailer actually have a good call to action so people don't look at it and say, what the hell is this shit, and throw it out. Like, that's as good as your wholesale business is going to be, especially now when I have to compete with the guys who are still, hey, we buy houses, we'll buy your house, we'll buy your house cash. The old way of doing things, people are still, that's still the most common way that these wholesale deals are getting pitched. It's much harder for me to come in and say, hey, we work with a bunch of investors. We'll give you a price. Give us a little bit of time to go out there and find that investor, bring them onto the deal. That's not as sexy as we'll give you 100 grand cash in 30 days. Not as sexy.
Good morning, everybody. The Mike and Jake Show, bringing in Max again. This is the second time we've met him in this week. Jake messed up, but
yeah,
second time is always better.
The first video,
Max,
we talked for 2.5 hours, and somebody didn't hit record. His name may or may not be Mike Mazzadona.
No, because you know what? It's still in the feed processing, so it was definitely recorded.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. We move over to this fancy streaming software. And now
we got too fancy. I think Google Meets was probably better, but that's fine.
Should we just talk about different shit this time in case the lost files come back miraculously?
No, I forget everything we were talking about anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect. So Max, how you doing today? Tell everybody what you do. You're a real estate investor, and you're in a niche. You have your own niche. So can you tell everybody what you do and how you do real estate?
Yeah, essentially, our niche now is licensed agents who wholesale post Act 52. So I was wholesaling since 2019 in central Pennsylvania, where I lived, out in State College area. Did that on my own out there from 2020 to 2022, and slowly started picking up guys. Hired my best friend to come wholesale with me. Did it that way for a while, right? Worked out the kinks, learned how to do it, got some mentors, all that good stuff. Fast forward to January of 2025 here, and me and my team of 4 acquisitions agents, my dispo guy, and our contractor. Dispo guy didn't get licensed, but everyone else is a licensed agent now, so we can be in compliance with Act 52.
And so, can you tell everybody what is wholesaling?
Wholesaling is the assignment of contract legally. But yeah, no, wholesaling, essentially, you're going out there and you're trying to find off market, undervalued properties. Ideally, you're looking for sellers who are in a situation where they need to or they want to sell at a discount, and they don't want to list it on market for a multitude of reasons with a realtor, which I am now a realtor. But you want to find those people who are willing to give a steep discount for a property. You want to put that thing under contract. You want to go find an investor like Mike or Jake to buy it off you and make a shit ton of money, and you don't have to do any work. It's great.
Yeah, no
I
work
think
at all.
the wholesalers sometimes make more than me.
Yeah. To double click on it, so it's Senate Bill 1173. I had to look it up. I actually forgot what it was. It's funny because I read about it like every day until it passed, just
Yeah.
to try to figure out what was going on. But so wholesaling is where you have a purchase and sale agreement and you assign that purchase and sale agreement to somebody else. Why would somebody want to do this? So maybe somebody needs time and convenience and they'll trade price for time and convenience, and they want to close really fast and they have to be all cash, and they'd rather just work with an investor instead of waiting for different people to walk their property and buy it. They just have this one person that knows they can either wholesale it or buy it themselves. So that's like the benefit of wholesaling. But a lot of people were doing it unethically. A lot of people were doing things and then not communicating properly, or just leaving people with the bag in their hand. And so a law was passed. And then Max is one of the first wholesalers that has completely taken the road of compliance, where he's consistently figured out what to do, met with lawyers, met with brokers, and developed a strategy to wholesale with the new regulations, SB 1173, which is an amendment to Act 52. So, Max, you're like one of the first wholesalers that has completely embraced the new regulations. You basically said, "Oh, I love these things, and let me go ahead and do this now," completely compliant with the new regulations. How did you see it coming and you prepare for it to happen?
Yeah, so I saw this coming for about 3 years now, and I think a lot of other people saw the inklings of it and the hints, right? But no one really took it seriously. 2 years ago, though, it might have been 3 years now, I had a buddy who had another buddy who was on a wholesaling task force at the state legislature. And they were obviously talking, and the person on the task force was letting my close friend know that, hey, they're going to do something about this eventually. They didn't have support at the time. Back then, they wanted to require. I have the I have a copy of the proposed changes that wasn't
Yeah,
supposed to be released to the public, but they wanted to like require an inspection on every wholesale deal and like really handcuff the speed and efficiency with which you can execute a wholesale. They wanted the same thing back then of you must be a licensed agent, but it didn't pass. But when I heard about that, I was like, shit, we should probably try to do something here as wholesalers in Pennsylvania. We should probably try to like organize. We should probably talk to some state reps because at that point in time, state senators and state reps, they were getting all their info on what wholesaling was from licensed realtors within PAR and NAR that don't like us at all. So it was probably a whole bunch of these guys are out here scamming old ladies and stealing people's equity, which does happen,
Yeah.
but not how everyone does it. So I tried to talk to the few wholesalers that I knew back then and say, hey guys, what can we do about this? Let's create a group. Let's create a pitch. Let's go talk to our state legislatures, blah, blah, blah. Uh, didn't go anywhere, right? I was still very new in the wholesale space and I was still trying to pay my rent back then. And nothing came of it. And I just kept operating my business and kind of said something happens. Fast forward to July, I think, 2024, when we all got word that
It's coming.
it's coming. And I instantly knew, all right, a lot of people are going to stop wholesaling, and a lot of people are probably just going to do it illegally. So there's going to be a gap in the market now of someone who's willing to figure out the hard shit here, someone who's willing to find an investor friendly broker, someone who's willing to pay attorneys to create a bulletproof contract, someone who's willing to get licensed and learn how to be a realtor and look at it as a tool, not a downfall. So that's what me and my guys did. We all studied to become agents, and I met with a handful of brokers. I got pretty lucky, actually. The third broker I met with was the guy, Jim Dietrich with Realty One Group Supreme. He's awesome.
Dietrich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just slowly figured it out, dude. Like dozens of Zoom calls with the broker and with Matt Morrow. He's within Realty One Group Supreme. He runs an investor friendly group of 20 or so, primarily buyer's agents who have buyer clients all throughout the East Coast and actually up in Canada too. They have a guy in Korea who buys in Scranton. So those guys, they know the game. They've wholesaled themselves too. And me, Matt, and Jim, we just sat on Zoom for hours and hours and hours and hours and game plan the SOPs on how it has to work, the oversight, how to be compliant, looping in the attorneys, figuring out what we can say, what we can't say, all the disclosures and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, we're still working some kinks out now, almost a year later, 8 months later, and we're still working out some of the smaller kinks. We viewed it as a gap and an opportunity. We completely understand, though, why most people said, screw this shit, and they don't want to do it because you do have to put in some extra effort now. You can't call a seller up and, hey, yeah, we're going to buy your house. No, this is a wholesale deal. Here's what it is. Here's the disclosure, which most of the big players, they still aren't doing that. They're probably going to get wrapped up eventually by the real estate commission because they are coming after people.
Now,
Yeah, Max. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
do we know what the fines are going to be for these wholesalers that are
We
any
talked
jail time or?
we talked about that on round one. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what they are. I don't know what the fines and the penalties are yet. I don't know if you're getting thrown in the gulag. I don't know if you're getting a little fine.
I guarantee the first couple of people are going to get hit hard just to try to scare.
I see Tennessee. I just was looking on Jerry Norton's Instagram because he just posted new wholesale regulations in Tennessee. So it's something that's like happening not just in Pennsylvania, it's happening all over the country, really. I think South Carolina, you got Colorado. There's double digit states that have regulations. So for me, when I saw them coming, I'm just like, all right, it's done. Wholesaling's done. I'm just going to figure out how to do something else for me. And like, I wanted to learn how to do other stuff. Like, I think wholesaling is really a lot of sales and marketing. What would you say to that? What would you say the main thing is in wholesaling?
I run a marketing business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best decision I ever made was last August. I went out and I found a guy, Jay Ciccolini, who's our marketing and dispo guy now. I haven't made a Facebook post in no, honestly, I really haven't. I haven't made a Facebook post in 6 months. And it's great. And the guy's got a marketing degree from Pitt. He makes the shit look good. He systematizes it all. He uses Canva. I don't know how to use Canva. He gets the word out there. He's building up our brand. It's a marketing business at the end of the day. Like, as good as you can get your message in front of sellers, as good as you understand PPC and SEO and crafting a good mailer list to send to people and having that mailer actually have a good call to action so people don't look at it and say, what the hell is this shit, and throw it out. Like, that's as good as your wholesale business is going to be, especially now when I have to compete with the guys who are still, hey, we buy houses, we'll buy your house, we'll buy your house cash. The old way of doing things, people are still, that's still the most common way that these wholesale deals are getting pitched. It's much harder for me to come in and say, hey, we work with a bunch of investors. We'll give you a price. Give us a little bit of time to go out there and find that investor, bring them onto the deal. That's not as sexy as we'll give you 100 grand cash in 30 days. Not as sexy.
No.
It's you got to have great marketing to create volume, especially when you're competing with the 30-day cash offer thing.
And you have to sign a seller's disclosure and everything now, right? Like if you're doing a wholesale deal.
No, we don't have to sign a seller disclosure on an off-market
Oh,
wholesale.
okay.
What we have to do, there's 4 separate disclosures we've added to our purchase and sale agreement: the 30-day rescission, the right to an appraisal. This is a wholesale transaction spelled out, and then there's one other one. I don't even know what it is. But we take it a step further. We have a little PDF that just says our process on the top. Again, Jay, who's a stud, he crafted it up in 5 minutes. Very easy to understand. Here's our process. Step 1, talk to you about your property. Step 2, come view it. Step 3, coordinate with our contractor, run numbers to come up with an offer. Step 4, step 5, present the agreement so you can review it. Step 6, we're going to push your deal out to as many investors as we possibly can. Step 7, we close, and then it gives an example. We say on our little PDF, for example, if we make you an offer of $50,000, we're going to go find an investor who's willing to pay 60. We're going to make the 10 grand difference.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we have a separate personal interest disclosure form that says, hey, I am an agent, but I'm not acting as an agent. This is an off-market wholesale deal. Check this box that you're okay with the wholesale. And then below that, there's a box they can check that says, no, I want to list. So there's no room for anyone to be able to say they don't know what's going on.
And what are the benefits for a wholesale versus list?
Benefits of wholesale, it's got to be the right type of property, first of all. What we find is, like, most sellers understand when their property is like investment grade, as I like to call it, so like value add. Like, they know, they're not dumb. They know an investor should buy this because it needs work. it's implied, right? I don't have to do a whole lot of pitching on these properties if we're pitching the wholesale to the right type of property. It's the value add of going with us is very simple. When I get a property in that needs work, I say, hey, listen, we have 1,000 buyers in a list who are looking for investment properties. Right? As soon as we go under contract, we're not listing it and hoping for the best. Right? We're not popping it up on the MLS. We're sending an email to 1,000 people who are looking for these types of properties. They oftentimes are going to pay cash. They're not going to require inspections or appraisals or contingencies often, and we're going to get it done. If you go with an agent, and I tell people this all the time, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's not a real estate agents who can get this deal done. There's local agents who know investors too. Sure. Do they know 1,000 of them? No, probably not. I have guys from Philly, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Jersey, New York, Virginia, Georgia, North Carolina, a Korean guy who lives in Toronto. We have a big group of people looking for properties more so than any other agent in town. I guarantee it. So that's the benefit. What we do is very niched up with your type of property. This is what we specialize in. And people, they don't really question that. It's a very simple value proposition. We work with investment properties. You have an investment grade property. Go ahead. You can use a realtor if you want. It really usually comes down to who gets there first, which comes back to the fact that I run a marketing company. There isn't a one liner that I say that hooks people, and they're like, this guy is 10 times better than a real estate agent. No, I got there first because I have an automation set.
That's right. If you answer your phone, when my phone rings for one of those we buy any pay homes, if I don't answer that phone, I'm going to lose that. I'm going to lose it. So as soon as I talk to them, hey, when can I come look at your house? Did you call anybody else yet? No, I
Yeah,
tried to call 3 people, but they didn't pick up. I always pick up because
and
they get scared. They just keep going on.
there's certain things you do pivoting, like getting there first. Like we have automation set on Deal Machine now, right? Where there's this thing called a smart list. For example, giving away some secret sauce here. We set an automation on our smart list that can give an auto mailer, right? So Deal Machine uses public information, public records. I can set a list that says I want to see every vacant property in Luzerne County in this list, right? The second that public info is captured by Deal Machine, it automatically goes into my list and it'll automatically send it a mailer. This happens every single day.
Oh, that's great.
We have automation set with a PPC PPL service that we use where it comes in from the third party, right? So as soon as someone fills out that web form, it hits our inbox and it automatically goes into an outreach campaign with no delay. Because what these people are doing a lot of times, they're typing in "sell my house PA." They're clicking one, filling out the web form. All right, clicking another one, filling out the web form. Clicking another. The
Yep.
guy who's sitting there and I'll call him in an hour. They got a text from us an hour ago.
Yeah, that's key. It really is getting there first.
Yeah. Why do you think agents don't do a lot of their own marketing? Why do you think agents don't do it?
Dude, they don't know how. It's every agent in America is taught like you got to build up your sphere of influence, which, listen, it works. It's not like the sphere of influence thing doesn't work, right? But like most agents, when they come on board with a broker, they're taught tell your friends and family, go to church, drop some business cards off, put it on the bulletin board at Sheets, which that's fine, great. You're going to build up business. You're not going to get there first like a guy like me can know. Like they don't know how to actually market, right? They make social media posts and they don't know what the hell Deal Machine is.
Yeah.
Dude, if
They
I
don't
was
they
an
don't
agent,
know.
I would slay.
They're buying Zillow leads, which is fine. Sure, if it works for you.
Yeah, and then they network in real estate, not real estate investors, but the real estate agent meetings. And I used to, when I took the class, I told the agents, I go to real estate investor meetups, meet investors. Don't go mingle with other realtors. You'll see them at closings. You're going to call them anyway when you want to show a house,
Yeah.
but you need to talk to investors.
Yeah.
And they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
They
If I
just
was an agent, I would send mail to every house that sells, and I'd be like, Cindy just sold her house for 212K. Yours is pretty similar within a 10 block radius or whatever. I would
What
do
I'm
that.
doing now for the agents in my brokerage who they're not on my wholesale team. So the way it's set up is like I have my team of wholesale agent hybrid people, and then within our specific team, there's also that 20 or so buyer agents that I told you about.
Mm.
They're with the Mora Warger group, and then there's Realty One Group Supreme agents all over. There's 150 of them. I don't know. But for the Mora Wargo guys who I work with pretty closely, because they dispo our deals for us, which is another benefit. We get a deal and we have a built-in 20-man dispo team now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
What I'm doing for them is I told them, like, all right, you guys work with investors. Tell them I can market for them. I just had a guy text me this morning. He wants to have some lunch so I can send out a marketing campaign for 5 doctors that he's representing who he's syndicating for, and they're looking for multis in the Lehigh Valley. So, like, these agents, they don't know what the hell, they don't know how the hell to craft up a email campaign and target specific properties. So I'm going to drive a couple $1,000s from his group of doctors into my front end marketing to go find some wholesales for him. And if a deal comes in, I'm going to wholesale it to him.
Oh, that's right. So that's
Yeah.
you do that whole marketing thing. Do you want to explain that whole marketing strategy you're doing?
Yeah, for anybody that's listening, if they're
That
interested
that's
too.
pretty neat how he's doing it.
Yeah, I can't give away the full secret sauce.
Don't give the full secrets. No, no, no. Don't give away,
I'll give you enough where you could do
Give
it.
it all away. 99% of people won't do it anyway.
It's
That's
not,
right. They won't know how to work,
dude, it's so simple. It's
but
really
it's pretty cool.
complicated at all. That you have to, so I shouldn't say it's simple. It's hard to pull off because you got to be a wholesale guy that, like, the investor hasn't seen a shitty deal from. The investor hasn't seen a repair estimate that you pulled out of your ass from. He hasn't seen comps that were from Pluto, right? The second an investor sees that, which, listen, I've done that too. I've never done it on purpose, right? But I've sent out some deals where I came to find out my comps suck, right? Like my repair, like everyone thinks my repair estimate's 40 grand low. I look like an asshole. It happens, right? I'm not a contractor. I'm not a flipper. That's why I use a contractor for all my estimates, and I lean on agents for comps when I need to. Although I am an agent, I don't consider myself an agent. I haven't logged into my MLS once since January. But essentially, you got to be a wholesale guy who puts out solid shit. And you do that enough, investors will come to you and they'll say, "Hey, do you got any deals?" It happens to me a dozen times a week. Guys will reach out as if they wouldn't have gotten the deal when I get it in. And I tell them every time, I'm like, "Listen, if there's a deal in this area, you're getting it. You're on my buyers list." But I wait for the right moment when an investor is super hungry for a deal. He missed out on a deal that I had that he got beat out on, right? He comes to me and he says, "I need some deals. I don't like," or he comes to me and he says, "Man, I can't find any good deals." And in my head, I'm like, bingo. I tell him, I say, "What if I could market to the types of properties that you're looking for directly tailored to what you're doing?" And every single time, there hasn't been a guy who I've told, "Hey, I can market on your behalf for properties," who said, "Nah, no, I don't want you to find me properties." No, they always say, "Oh, that sounds awesome. How does that work?"
Yeah.
Well, you pay for the hard marketing costs. Me and my guys who have 2 years of KPIs behind what mail works and what doesn't, we'll go out there, we'll craft a list of motivated sellers in the areas that you want, tailored to the types of properties you want. We'll go find them. All they got to do at that point is set a budget. I send them an invoice. They send me some money, and I'm sending mail on their behalf.
That's great. That
Yeah. You're
I
almost
think
like a
that's
marketing guy.
genius.
This month, so it's cool to see. I think it's cool to see. I like looking at it. It started out when we were like, all right, let's do 500 to start. And then we decided if someone wants to do it with us, they're going to have to pay 500, which I think at the time got them like 710 mailers, which you send 710 mailers out, you're going to get a couple of responses for sure. But in these hot markets, it's really not enough. So we start increasing budgets and we start telling guys, "Listen, you got to spend $1,000, you got to spend $2,000 just based on the KPIs, based on the response rates." And I think this month we're sending out $8,000 worth of other people's money for mail, which we're still getting blown out of the water by a lot of big players, but it's increasing every month. Pretty soon, we're going to be sending out 20 grand in other people's money each month in mail. And the response rates are, it's economy of scale. It's just going to be more and more volume without our direct financial input to the equation.
And your
So,
clients are happy, you're succeeding with it.
yeah, it's really about setting the expectations on that. If guys think that they're going to send one round of mail out and definitely get a good deal from it in the Lehigh Valley, you're an idiot. It's just not going to happen. You got to test the markets. You got to see what works.
Sure.
Certain big players probably have those certain motivated criteria lists on 6 month drip. And in a hot area, there's probably 20 big players from across the country that are hitting it. So maybe you don't want to hit the common motivated lists in the hot areas. This is where the secret sauce comes in. I
Yep.
can't I can't give away my list
No,
types,
it's okay.
but I'm just joking. We've identified certain list types in certain areas that perform way better, where we know for a fact most people who look at it from like a cookie cutter, tax delinquent, pre foreclosure, probate, the big three. If you look at it like that in some of these areas, you're competing with everyone else, and
Sure.
it's a drop in the hat. You got to get creative with your list types. So coming back to, is it working? It's a it's constantly the ball is constantly moving on what we need to hit. So we just try to do a good job with our investors, especially if we're going into a new market with mail. We tell them, like, if you're not willing to do this for 3 months, we don't even want to do it.
Yeah, I can't see a 1 month working. I would say 6 months, but 3 months is still good enough. It's a quarter.
Yeah, and as long as we set their expectations properly on, this isn't a immediate thing. We need to understand what works and what doesn't. They're happy. It works. We're finding deals from it.
So
So it
let's just
sounds like,
go ahead.
Max, you're doing a lot of direct mail to get marketing. I was just bending down to grab this thing because this is all returns right here. These are all returns. What are you doing to prevent? That's all. This is like 1,000 or more postcards returned in 1 month. What are you doing to find data and prevent like that from happening? Where do you get data?
We use Deal Machine.
And that, do you get a lot of returns with that? Do you get,
Not 1,000,
yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know how much volume you're sending out, but yeah, like we'll get returns and we get refunded for the returns, so it's fine.
Oh, you get refunded for the returns?
Yeah,
Wow.
How do you get refunded?
that's just the way they do it.
So Deal Machine refunds you for returns. Does Deal Machine send the mailer as well?
Yeah, so we were using Freedom Soft for our mail. So when I started out, I got a mentor, and he used Freedom Soft at the time. I didn't know anything about CRM, so I was just like, all right, this guy's telling me to use Freedom Soft. Sure, I'll use Freedom Soft. And we've been sending mail from Freedom Soft for years, and it's what we knew how to do. But it was like a 14-day delay between the time we click send on FreedomSoft until the time that the mail actually hit. So it was a big lag. When we switched over to Deal Machine Mail, it's like a 3-day turnaround. It's as if, like, when I click send, I'm dropping it off at the post office. There's no lag, no delay. It's much smoother. It's much easier to manage. You can set those automations like I talked about to immediately have the system hit that lead with the mailer for a fact. You're first. You might be tied with first with 3 other people who are doing what you're doing with the automation, but you're first. And in hot markets, it's really the only way to do it if you want to get in front of that seller first with the high motivation criteria lists.
So Max, what does your team look like? So you're doing all this marketing, call comes in. Do you have a team member that's answering the phone? And then do you go on in-person appointments? Is it completely virtual? Can you give us a little bit of your org chart and what that looks like?
Yeah, so I've always been against VAs. Maybe I just haven't found the right VA company, but I don't want, if this sounds bad, I really don't care. I don't want a Filipino accent answering a phone call for a US based business.
Yeah.
When I call a company and I can barely understand what they're saying or I hear an accent, the guard goes up because you're not talking to the actual person who can really answer your questions well, really get into the nitty gritty. It just, for us, it doesn't make sense. For some people, sure, whatever. All our phone calls are directly linked to the acquisition agent whose marketing it went out on behalf of. So if there's a campaign of mail going out in Luzerne County, Lenny Wida or Pete Terudis' phone number is going to be on that piece of mail. When that call comes in, it's going to come into their CRM number. It's going to link to their cell phone, and they're going to pick it up. And they can have an hour-long conversation right off the bat with that seller. Like we talked about, speed to lead. I don't want a VA saying, "Hello, can I get your name and number, and we will have someone reach out." What happens if they're like, screw this shit, I'm going to call the other guy. And then
That's what's going to happen.
the actual wholesaler calls or picks up. So, yeah, it's linked directly to my acquisitions guys. And they can work that lead right off the bat. Now, on the back end, Jay, my dispo guy, he's actually starting to do a lot of our buyer calls and buyer vetting, appointment setting, all that stuff. I mean, the org chart is I'm up here. My acquisitions guys, they all have their marketing going out, right? They take it from A to offer. When an offer is needed, and some of my guys don't even need me to be able to have to review anything to make an offer. Some guys do, but I'll step in the process just to really like review the analysis, review the offer, make sure I don't pick up on anything we might have missed. But then the acquisition guy, he's making that offer, or me and him are making the offer. It goes under contract and it gets shot out to Jay, and it gets shot out to the Moro Argo team of those buyers agents who I mentioned, and they go ahead and get the deal sold. And then on the back end, I might step in if a buyer has some in-depth questions about the deal, but usually that goes to the acquisitions guy who sourced the deal. I've never been to these properties. When buyers have questions about the deal and the details and the specs and all, that's going to the acquisition guy. And the last time I might jump in is with a very tough buyer negotiation, right? I might step in there and handle that buyer if he's a tough cookie to deal with. But that's how we work. It's pretty simple. I like to set it up so that like my acquisition guy is the first point of contact, and he's the only guy that seller's dealing with until closing.
Yeah. So it sounds like everybody has a lot of independence within your team. What are you doing? How are you creating incentive structures so that they can have that type of independence and you don't have to constantly check on them and make sure they're producing? What are your incentive structures like?
100% commission, baby. You're not getting an hourly wage. Because of that, all my guys get 50%.
So every deal they're getting 50% of the profits.
They get 50% minimum. Yeah. If they work up to be that acquisition agent who is legitimately taking it from step A to step Z, right? Not really Z because we have our dispo team, but if they don't need my direct input or if they don't need my direct help to do things like running comps, getting the repair estimate, creating the maximum allowable offer, structuring the dispo packet, they're getting paid really well. I've incentivized these guys by allowing them to make honestly way more on the deal than I do, right?
Yeah.
They understand and appreciate that. And I've been lucky enough to have a lot of really high level, smart guys who are just as good as I am at most of this stuff on our acquisitions. And it gives us a leg up on the wholesale teams that have cold callers, and they've got like a sales manager, right? They have their outside sales people who are doing the on sites, or maybe they found a guy on Fiverr to go take pictures, and the seller's like, who the hell is this guy? It gives us a leg up, right? There's no one in our business who is half ass. There's no one who I don't trust the name of my business with when they're going out and talking to a seller.
So everyone on your team is commission only, from answering the phone to everything, A to Z.
The dispo guy, he has a base fee,
Okay.
but yeah, he gets incentives per closing as well, though.
Okay. Good.
That's how he really makes his money. It's
Yeah.
as much volume as we can.
What are you seeing right now in the market? Do you think the market is hot? Is it slowing down? Are you concerned with Trump's tariffs that the market's going to crash? What are your thoughts about the market?
I don't really care. There's always going to be houses that need flipped. There's always going to be people who want to buy them. There's always going to be people looking for multifamily. It's our job to build up a big ass list. If some people are scared to move in the market, that's fine. We're going to find guys who aren't scared to move. I don't, I'm not worried about it. I keep up with the market vaguely, briefly, right? Like I saw listings are up, closings are down, right? Baseline shit like that. But I don't really concern myself with that. I see what we're doing, our volume, our KPIs, everything's on the up and up. Whatever the market's doing, the market can do. I have no control over it.
What would you tell somebody would now be a good time for somebody to buy, for somebody to get their first investment property or rental property?
Yeah, let me rewind. So when I say that, it probably sounds like, oh, this idiot doesn't even understand the market he does business in. I want to add that we're constantly identifying what people are doing, right? Like tiny homes right now. Everyone loves tiny homes, right? We made some connections with some guys who are looking for vacant tracts of land all across Pennsylvania, right? And they want to build tiny home communities. And we're currently negotiating and working with these people to send out like massive mail campaigns for them, right? So we're targeting shifts in the market on what people are wanting to do, just so everyone doesn't think I'm an idiot who just has no idea what's going on. We're constantly pivoting the way we're doing things based on what people are looking for. But, anyways, a good time to buy, you said?
Yeah, do
So
you think when you said that I thought of the fruit cart salesman that if you say you're in a recession, then you're probably in a recession when your business might be in a recession. If you're not, like you cannot focus on that and just keep doing really good business no matter what the market's doing. I think it's probably better not to pay too much attention to the market, just do good business. So that's what I got when you were saying that. But do you think if somebody is looking to buy their first home, buy their first rental property, do you think right now is a good time? Do you think they should wait? Do you think prices are go down? Are they going to go up? What's going to happen?
Yeah, for the average person, I'd say find a good real estate agent who's going to be honest with you, like actually see how that local market's doing. Certain markets have been suffering for a while out west, right? Other markets are resilient. A lot of the markets we do business in, they're not really seeing like nationwide trends, right? Like in Clearfield County, PA, it you can't compare what's happening on the West Coast or in Florida with Clearfield County. You have to understand those local markets. And it might be a good time to buy in that local market. And then guess what? It's not a great time to buy a condo in Florida. There's not an easy solution to that. What I see a lot of people looking for right now, and what I think is a great option right now, is the house hack. It's always been a great option, but we see a ton of people looking for duplex, triplex, quad to get in there and offset their mortgage costs. Any duplex, any triplex, any quad we get, we're getting a lot of hits from people who aren't investors. And we have the tools to be able to do these wholesale deals with FHA loans, USDA loans, conventional, doesn't matter. And we definitely capitalize on that. And we get a lot of these wholesale deals done without having to go to that investor. So, yeah, like I would say just understand your local market. I won't look at nationwide trends necessarily as like the end all be all if you're looking to buy a
sure.
home in Berwick, Pennsylvania.
And you're watching Florida, Miami. Yeah, I get it. So are your wholesale deals, how fast are they going?
Some of them go fast, some of them don't.
Yeah.
We don't treat it like we don't put them under contract for 30 days, first of all. We do a 90-day standard contract.
Okay.
It depends. Like anything in Schuylkill County right now, it's gone.
Yeah.
Anything in
We selling a Pete and Johan?
who?
Peter and
Yeah,
Johan?
I like those guys. I haven't sold one to them yet, though. Now, here's the thing for us: in the hotter areas that we have the investor who rolls his money into our front end,
Yeah.
they get first access. Any
Okay.
great deal never sees the light of day.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
So that's what it is. But yeah, like our Clearfield County deals, some of our like rural central PA deals, we do need that 60-day.
Okay.
We need them. They don't always fly off the shelves. What we do though, which I don't think most wholesalers do, I think I can confidently say that. We're telling these sellers your property's in Clearfield, PA. This
Yeah.
isn't a hot market. We know every local investor in that town who buys properties. So if someone's going to get this deal done, it's going to be us. But manage your expectations here, seller. We know exactly what we're doing. We've done this dozens of times in Clearfield. We'll get this done, but we need 90 days to make sure we can get it done. And we'll do them too, where if a seller is asking too much, but it's borderline, like in some of these areas, you don't have three great comps. You just don't.
Yep.
If it's a borderline deal, we'll tell the seller, hey, this is an iffy one. We think there might be an investor out there, but we might have to shop this thing out down in the Lehigh Valley to someone looking for a cheaper entry cost in Clearfield County. Those guys who they can't buy in the Lehigh Valley. Their credit sucks. They can't go and get hard money. They definitely can't use traditional financing, but they got some cash. They got 30 grand. We can get a livable property in Clearfield for 30 grand. So we'll tell a seller, like, it's an iffy one. If you're okay with the fact that it's an iffy one, we'll do our best. A lot of times sellers appreciate that honesty and they're like, yeah, you guys have told me what you do. This is definitely an investment property. See what you can do. Do your best. Sometimes those deals don't shake out, but sometimes they do.
What kind of rent can you get out there?
Oh, geez. Efficiency, you're going to get 700 to 800. Two bed, you're going to get 8 to 9. Three bed, you're going to get maybe 12, 1300 for the best one.
That's not really bad if you pick up a house for 30 grand that's still livable.
What's what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You cash flow out there all day long.
Yeah.
Cash on cash returns out there.
Now I got to look out there.
Dude, Schuylkill County too. Schuylkill County is awesome because it's like, it's not rural central PA.
Yeah.
But these coal towns, man, like we just posted a duplex with the cash on cash return of 41%. And it's a legit 41% cash on cash return. We got an open house tomorrow. It's going to sell for over asking.
Absolutely.
But the coal mine is on fire, and they
Oh,
can't.
dude, it's the way I look at it is simple. It's okay. To the north, you got Scranton, Wilkes-Barre markets.
Yep.
To the east, you're not too far from Jersey and New York. There's so many Jersey and New York investors who buy up in these coal towns. And then to the south, you got Philly investors in Lehigh Valley. It's like the trifecta. You
Yeah.
find something in a coal town, as long as it doesn't need to be torn down, which a lot of them do, you're going to sell that thing, man.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, the coal town properties, you could wholesale all day long. Yep.
Jordan Ambrose, that's his
Yeah, it is.
I just talked to Jordan yesterday. He found me some land.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got 31
He's a
31
realtor
houses
now.
down there. Yeah, you have to be to wholesale.
Yeah. I mean, so what do we tell people now? What would you tell someone that wants to get into real estate? Because it used to be, hey, become a wholesaler first and you work your way in because you don't need money. It's very easy to do. Go get yourself a mentor. Now they gotta, it's a lot harder for sure. You know, it's a lot. Because
Yeah.
most of these wholesalers, they know zero. Now they got to take a class. They got to do the hours. Then they got to take the state and the local exam or whatever. How is it in Pennsylvania? It's a state and federal.
Yeah, you got to take your federal and your state. Yeah,
Did you pass both first time?
I did.
I thought so. He's got a big college degree.
Yeah, my political science degree. Yeah, it really prepared me for real estate.
But it's not that hard. I took a class and everybody passed. I didn't take it, but yeah, so it's hard. I don't know what you tell someone that wants to get into real estate because it used to be, like I said, here in Pennsylvania anyway, be a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Now
Find a niche.
I think it's going to scare a lot of new people. I think you'll see a lot less. These guys, the wholesalers now are going to weed away or become realtors, and I don't see new ones coming up.
You got to find a niche. I think if you really want to be successful in real estate, you have to find a niche. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He reached out about a deal, and Like his Facebook was one of those Facebook profiles that you look at and you're like, oh, this guy, he probably lives in his mom's basement.
Yeah, I
Yeah, he's one of those guys who he doesn't care about social media presentation and all that
yeah,
bull
nothing.
that we have to care about. And I got to talking to his dad. The kids started a moving business. They did 1.2 million in their second year of doing it.
Awesome.
The dude's loaded, and he spends his money buying up real estate now.
That's awesome.
He found a niche. He realized that this area needed a good moving company. He did it. Him and his guys are moving furniture and moving boxes. Anyone in the world can do it, able bodied.
Yeah.
He got some money and he's buying up properties like crazy. And like his niche was a moving company.
Moving, just taking that cash and buying some rentals or whatever. He's great for him.
I think with AI, right? With the trajectory of how tech's going, and Jake, you can probably speak on this better than I can. Like the normal real estate agent right now, it's already flooded. Like it's just absolutely flooded. There is no differentiating factor between 90% of the real estate agents that exist. If you don't have that niche, if you don't have that differentiating factor, you're just going to be a part of the masses.
Yeah. What did they say, Jake? What was that statistic? 70% of realtors didn't sell one property last year or something like that?
I got four things. So yeah, yeah, I think there's 1.5 million to 2 million agents, and yeah, 70% didn't sell a house in 2024, didn't do one deal. But then, like what you were saying, Max, with just finding your niche, Charlie Munger, which he was a Berkshire Hathaway, like he helped build Berkshire Hathaway. He talks about instead of becoming the best fisherman in a big lake where you're competing against all these other fishermen, just find your own lake and just fish there. So I think finding your own niche is really important because
Yeah.
there's so many different facets of real estate as well. You got commercial, you got multifamily, you got single family, you got wraps, you got creative, you could do anything in real estate. So finding your niche, I think, is big.
Like the way I look at it is like, yeah, wholesaling works, right? House flipping works, the burst strategy works, mobile home parks work, all that. That's all fine, but like, how do you get there? Like, how do you sustain yourself and how do you fund it? How do you survive until you can slowly build up your assets? I think the best way to do that is to, like we're talking about, find a niche. Like for me and my guys, we've been competing with every other wholesaler for years. And like very recently, we're starting to get into things. We've created our own niche essentially with the mail campaigns, right? And the wholetailing versus the wholesaling, finding these big investors who are looking to do volume, creating that connection with that investor that we know no one else is going to have that connection with that investor. And the competition aspect now goes out the window for a lot of what we're doing. If we're servicing that buyer well and he's rolling his money into our front end, like that's a very secure partnership as long as we produce the deals, right? There's not really any negative for us in attacking that versus just doing it the standard way. It's only positives. So I think that's a great way to look at it if you're getting into real estate is don't just try to be another wholesaler. Don't just try to be another agent, whether it be like some aspect of property management, some aspect of flipping, some aspect of rentals, a moving company. Become an inspector, maybe become an appraiser.
An appraiser's pretty hard.
One of these other fields, though, I think you can create your own advantage if you bring another skill set into the real estate marketplace.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think anybody looking to get started in real estate, it's not something like it's a career where you can make millions of dollars, right? So any career that you're going to make millions of dollars is going to be hard, take a while to learn. But for me, if I was trying to get started, I would look at how much money do I need to make, and I would figure out what that goal is. So if I need to make $50,000 a year to replace my job's income, I could really do that with one flip, in theory. So if I find the right flip, I can make 50K in 1 year. I would set that goal, figure out what I need, and then figure out how to get it through real estate or through whatever business we're talking, whatever business, a moving company, whatever. Max, I wanted to ask you about novations. Are you guys doing novations?
We are. So we used to do novations as follows. We would find a property that we thought would do well on market, whether it was livable. We did a few novations that weren't livable. Really, we looked at novations as get on market exposure, right? We would pitch it to the seller that, hey, we can get this thing done quicker if we're allowed to go on market. Here's what we have to do to be able to do that. And we did probably about a dozen or so novations. We made like a moral decision though on novations that it's if a seller's willing to go on market, they should just go on market, man. Because we were taking 10, 20, 30 grand on these novations and we weren't lifting a finger to do anything to these properties. And it went against the whole let's get this done off market thing. And we didn't have any sellers who hated it or complained or realized what was happening and were pissed off. But it was a thing where it's if we're doing our job, we should just get this thing done off market. And we pivoted now to where we'll only do a novation if we're going to put X amount of dollars into that property in prehab before we go on market. So for us, we have to improve the value to justify novating it and going on market. So whether that be flooring and paint, a new water heater, or whether that be a clean out, right? $2,500, $3,500 for a clean out and then go on market. We do a lot of novations that way. And then my favorite way of novating is novating into an FHA buyer or like a USDA buyer or really any conventional loan because conventional loan, government backed loan, you can't execute an assignment on those based on what I've seen. I found one mortgage company who was willing to do it, and I'm pretty sure they broke the law doing it. Oh, but on the commercial side of a bank, a commercial loan, they're okay with assignments oftentimes. The conventional side, they're not. So you need to get yourself off that contract. You need to novate your buyer and your seller together. You need to create that secondary agreement to check that bank's requirement of this is a direct seller to buyer real estate transaction.
To make sure the chain of title.
Yes. So what we do now, a lot of our novations, it's simply like a tool to execute the deal, right? And we'll couple that oftentimes with getting the property FHA ready. So we just did one in Reynoldsville. We got it under contract for 40,000, and a guy reached out to us. It was his childhood home. The only thing he could do was FHA, and he needed seller assist too. And the property needed about 3 grand in reno, right? Paint, a couple shingles. It needed railings, right? All that FHA bullshit.
Yep.
So what we did is we did prehab to it, sent our contractor out there on 2 days' notice, paid him 3 grand out of our own pocket. We didn't ask the seller to pay for it or the buyer. And then we gave the buyer 3,500 in seller assist on top of that out of our assignment fee. We novated it. So now it was seller to buyer at 63 grand with 3,500 in seller assist. We ate the 3 grand on the reno, and I think cleared 17 grand on that deal at closing. Seller was happy. Buyer was absolutely ecstatic. He got his childhood home. And the thing that brought it together was that novation, that ability to novate that deal.
So now if you put work into it and it doesn't sell, then what? You're out the money, huh?
Better have a good relationship with your seller.
Yeah.
Better be sure that they're going to let you get it done. It's a risk for sure.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten bitten on it. The seller knows exactly what we're doing.
Yes.
It's not a situation where the seller never thought that we were buying that. The seller knew exactly what was going on. I called the seller up. I said, hey, listen, the guy who used to live in this home growing up called me. He wants to do it, but we got to get this FHA ready. I can get my contractor out there in 2 days. Seller said, great. Show me the contractor's proof of insurance and we can get him out there. I told the seller, I said, on this new contract coming over, it's going to say 63. I'm giving him 3,500 seller assist, and I'm covering the 3,000 in repairs or whatever it was.
Yep.
And the difference is what I'm making. We need to have this on contract, the total price, and my fee is going to get released at closing.
Hey,
Now,
it works. I've never done it personally.
people get scared. Like people get scared though when the seller is going to know what they're going to make. So listen, if you show your value to that seller, it's fine. But when you go to buy a car, it's not a secret that the dealership's marking that thing up, man.
Of course.
If you're solving a problem, if
As
you're
long as everybody's happy, seller's happy, buyer's happy, what do you care?
it doesn't matter.
No. But I did sell a duplex to somebody and I was making about 50 grand. So I double closed. And then the closing company, I'm not going to say their name, but they went and told the buyer what I paid for it. And it was so now the buyer's he was ecstatic about the price, right? There was a lot of money there for him. But when he found out I made 50 grand, he looked at me across the table and he got mad at me. I said, "Whoa, he's going to make about 150 grand on a deal."
I used to
And,
tell buyers that it doesn't matter.
and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I paid for it because he asked me. I said, "What does it really matter? Here's what I'm selling it to you for."
Telling you guys, like
And it was bad.
it, dude. I used to be like that too, where I was like, oh man, they're gonna be pissed off. But we just
Yeah.
don't do it. We just like yesterday. I had Jake. Remember that Orangeville deal?
Yeah. You saw
Yes.
that?
The first guy who made an offer on it, he didn't know it was in a flood zone. It was.
Yeah.
It's right in bold letters on our packet. And I remember I told him verbally too. 3 days before close, he backed out because he didn't know it was in a flood zone.
Yeah.
But yesterday we had a guy reach out, that the moving company that I was telling you about, that kid.
Yeah.
So this guy, he saw our post for the deal. He skip traced the seller, called her. She told him to piss off because we have it under contract. She knows what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I told the guy, I was like, "Why would you do that? Like, that's not going to work. Don't do that. Call me if you want to work something out." And I was pissed at this point.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would raise the price, but go ahead.
Yeah.
He called me and he said, "What do you need to get this done?" Because at this point, he knew that I had under contract for 25 grand. And I said, I had it posted for 42. I said, "Listen, I got a contract for 25 grand. We spent 4,500 on a clean out and a little bit of work on the property. I want to make 5 on it. That's my number. If you want to do it, let's do it. If not, I don't care." I was pissed at this point because he just,
Sure.
and he sat there for a second. He's like, "That's reasonable." And we're getting under contract today. So we do that a lot with these buyers, even on the big ones, man, because we don't give a shit. If you're the buyer who cared, if you're pocket watching me, cool, dude. If it's a good deal, there's another buyer out there.
That's what I said. I said, if you don't want it, it's fine
And
because
like,
I will sit at this table tomorrow with somebody else.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. If it's a
And
good deal, it's a good deal.
I don't
I
care.
hate
And
that. I
but
used to tell
he
people
came back.
like,
He came back and bought again. So
there you go.
we just won't do deals with you. How about that? Yeah.
I'll still sell to him.
Yeah, that deal, Max, I remember that one. I had that property under contract last year. And then now Max, and I couldn't find a buyer.
Tough one, man. It was a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the deals that we do, we all talk to the same people. A lot of them come around full circle. So it's
Yep.
funny.
Jake, you
So
want to
real quick,
go ahead?
wait, I think we skipped a section of like, how did you find real estate and how did you get started? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I was studying political science, a really high net worth career path. And
Were you going to be a lobbyist? What was your goal with political science?
I don't know, man. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, but I'm colorblind. And
Oh, wow.
I trained for 2 years, and then I realized I was going to get instantly DQ'd if I ever tried to do it. Once that didn't work out, and I was a freshman in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my mom made me go to college. This was like during the OG Trump era, and like politics were hot.
This is like 2016.
Yeah,
When,
yeah,
when was your freshman year?
2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you went to Penn State, right?
I went to Misericordia first because they had like a cool government law, political science degree thing. And yeah, man, I just started interning with like judges and state reps and state senators, and everyone was miserable, man. I remember in the judge's office, it was an office of four women, two secretaries, like a paralegal or whatever the hell they are, ledge assistant, and then the judge. And dude, they would just sit there and yell at each other all day long. They were miserable, dude. And like every internship I would see, like everyone was miserable. And I'm like, there's got to be something better than this. I'm going to come out of college and make what, 35, 40 grand in some state rep's office and hate my life. And dude, I just started looking up ways to make money. I was an aspiring Forex trader for a few months. And then I realized that that was not something I wanted to be a part of. And then like I tried learning how to trade stocks, and I was like, I'm not smart enough for this. There's no way. Then I got into crypto, which probably should have stayed in crypto. But I bought like $1,000 worth of Bitcoin when it was like, I don't know, 16 grand or something. I lost my password to that wallet. So
Yeah, I got a couple of lost wallets. That's great.
so yeah, just trying a bunch of stuff until it was around Christmas time of, I want to say 2018, and I saw an ad for a wholesaling course from Ty Lopez, the OG guru influencer. He had it listed for $297 for a wholesale course. Ty Lopez, he's not a wholesaler. He just hired a guy to do a wholesale course on his website.
He owns Radio Shack, though, right? He owns
I
Radio
think
Shack.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but took that course, realized pretty quick that's what I was going to really try to learn and get good at. And yeah, man, I dove into it. I got on bigger pockets, ended up finding a mentor, Don Strickland out of Dallas, PA. He did sandwich leases. Essentially, a sandwich lease,
And you met him in the forums, right? So you were posting in the forums at Bigger Pockets, and then a local guy.
searching by area for investors, and I was DMing them.
Okay.
I probably DM'd 300 investors. And he was looking for a guy to go out and find deals for him. He didn't want to go find deals. He just wanted to underwrite him and work from his home office. So it worked out. And I was looking for deals for him. And at this point, I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. But he was coaching me through like how to look at a property, how to take notes on a property. He got me up on his CRM. And he showed me how to do all that. And I was doing that for a while. Didn't get any deals from it. And eventually, I found a pretty decent deal that I thought was going to work out with Don. And he ghosted me. Didn't hear from him, didn't hear from him, didn't hear from him, didn't hear from him. And then it must have been 3, 4 months went by. And finally, I'm like, did something happen to this guy? Like, I was talking to this guy every single day. Great guy. And I Googled his name and he passed away.
Wow.
He passed away from a rare brain cancer. And he never mentioned it to me. Again, I was talking to this guy every day, never complained. Literally, up until like he went into hospice, man, he was working. He was trying to set his family up. He was helping me. And he tragically passed away. And at that point, I was right back to square one. Still didn't do it.
How long were you working with him before he passed away?
Oh, man, it must have been at least 6 months. But I was learning a lot, like learning how to go out to a property, what to look for, how to talk to sellers, how to take good notes, how to run comps, how to underwrite a deal. It wasn't wholesale specific because sandwich leases are a little different, but I was learning a lot. And yeah, at that point, I went out and found another mentor, Mark Nesple. He showed me a lot about underwriting rentals, BRRRR strategy, stuff like that.
The
And
famous Mark Nesple. He's been an OG since like the 80s. Mark Nesple.
I don't know if he's that old.
I feel like maybe he's not that old. I'm sorry,
He's
Mark.
not
If
that old. I think
No, he'll kick your ass, Jake.
yeah.
he's not that old.
He's been doing it over 20 years though, I think.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really smart guy, sharp guy when it comes to underwriting.
Just business.
Yeah,
He owned a gym, correct?
he did. I used to work out at his gym when I was
Yeah.
like 13. And yeah, like I just went through a phase of like analysis paralysis, shiny object syndrome that a lot of people go through, and all the while I would have the mentor, and I would get pulled from like sandwich lease to burr strategy, rental portfolios, maybe a wholesale, I don't know, and like I would just jump around, podcast here, different podcast, YouTube video, YouTube series, blah 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 blah, and a year went by and I didn't do any deals, and I'm like, good lord, what do I gotta do here? And I realized like I just gotta focus on wholesale. It's the thing that I took the course on. It's the thing that I understand the most. It's the easiest strategy to do. Let me just try to do some wholesale deals, and that's what I did, man. And I eventually found one in Woodland, Pennsylvania, in Clearfield County, a little small bumfuck town in the middle of nowhere. And I did it, and I got the big check at closing, and
How'd you find your first deal? How'd you find that deal?
Facebook Marketplace, baby.
That's where I found my first deal too. Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. So you were just scanning Facebook every day and you just reached out and you're like, hey, I'm interested in this property. And then you went and saw it and then
Yeah, dude. Like when you're starting out, go on Craigslist, go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Zillow for sale by owner. I would buy like a list from ListSource. It's like a public data aggregator where you can pull lists of properties, and I would just cold call. Yeah, but man, that was the trajectory to get into it. It's 2 year long process from the time I started learning it to the time I did my first deal.
yeah.
How'd you sell that first house? You relisted it on Facebook, or you have any investors at that? Did you have a list at that point, or?
Yeah, no, I did have a buyer's list. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
I probably put it up on Facebook in some of the local investor groups.
I used to do open houses. I would
Oh,
get the
yeah.
property under contract, and I would do an open house. I'm meeting Saturday between 1 and 2 o'clock. So it would bring hundreds of investors sometimes. It was crazy. And then they're all in there. And if oh my God, Jake's here, Max is here. I'll give you 5,000 more. I would have that house sold in 5 minutes.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy. I like doing it that way.
Well, in Clearfield County, sometimes you can't have an open house because there's not enough buyers for it.
Yeah. Our best deals, we would put them under contract and then text them out and someone would buy it within an hour without seeing it. Those are our
It,
best.
that's the best.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, those pictures really didn't look like that when I got there. That's all right.
So Max, what are your goals for the next year, next 2 years? Do you want to completely scale the wholesaling thing? Do you want to get into multifamily? Do you want to do
So fix and
you
flip.
don't have any rentals yet, right? Do you want to buy rentals? Are you against rentals? What's the deal?
No, I do, man. I do. I My goals for this year are to keep growing the business and really capitalize on that gap that we talked about with Act 52 here,
Yeah.
SB 1173. I want to build up the team and get better coverage across PA. Right now, we're in like 20 counties, 25 counties. I want to keep expanding that. Eventually, get into the Pittsburgh suburbs, Philly suburbs, and really just see where I can take this team. I like the fact that a lot of the competition fell off and not many people are doing it the way that we're doing it, and I want to see how far we can take that. Right now, we're working on really improving every system, every tool that we use, from mail to PPC to the CRM that we operate out of. We're putting a lot of work into that stuff, building up Facebook ads, things like that. So my entire 2025 is going to be strictly working on my team that now is the hybrid agent wholesaler. Me personally, I'm ready to start plugging certain contractors I work with into flips, right? Identifying the deals that come in, cherry pick them if I want to fix and flip them. I have guys in certain areas that I fully trust to be able to say, hey, let's flip this property. I want you to manage the whole fucking thing. Because I've seen a dozen deals that they've done now over the years from knowing them. And I know they do quality work, good relationships with them. And I'm also in the market to start taking down some seller finance deals for myself, right? Some rentals. But yeah, man, up until this point, like all my money's been driven back into the business, systems, marketing, spending a lot of money on marketing, see what works, right? Throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. And just recently, over the last 12 months or so, I've gotten the reserves up to a point where I'm okay with utilizing some capital, some investments for myself.
Good. I think another 12 months, you're really going to be streamlining this company. And whether you get another, you looking to get another office maybe somewhere else too, or have multiple offices, or just you're going to stay one place and
Every week, my guys, they're telling me, we need an office, we need an office, we need an office. My guys are spread out across PA, though. So
yeah.
I don't know how I play favorites. Hey, Lenny and Pete, you guys can have an office. Devin and Lance, sorry, guys.
That's best. I think I know Pete.
Yeah,
He's up here in Luzerne.
Pete's cool.
I was flipping a house next to a house that he had under contract. Didn't work out, but I was going to buy it. I'm glad I didn't buy it because it was just really bad neighborhood. I was surprised I sold the house I flipped.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then with the house he had under contract, kid OD'd in the house. It just became a mess. Became a mess. So that was the end of that.
yeah, man.
But he's a good guy for sure.
Smart
Good guy
guy.
having your team. Yeah,
He's been an agent for, I think, like
long time, right?
15 years. He's been
Yeah.
wholesaling for 3 years, so he knows his shit.
Yeah, I mean, we just started wholesaling. All right, Jake. You have anything else to say? We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to hear from somebody that's taken this new regulation change and embraced it and figured out how to operate fully compliant in it. And you're one of the first people, Max, that we're talking to that's done that. And I think it'll be really valuable for people to hear because the laws are changing all over the country. And Pennsylvania had the law that passed here is a pretty big one, a pretty stringent one. Just seeing people pivot and capitalize on it, I think that's great. And I think you're right. A lot of competition is going to go away. A lot of people that didn't have an ethical business or a systemized business or a real business for that matter probably aren't going to keep doing it. And it's cool to hear how you're doing it, how you're getting along in these new days. So thanks for joining us. I'm sorry that the first one, Mike, didn't record.
We love saying that, but that's great. Yeah, I'll take the blame.
Yeah. Well,
But yes,
thanks for
we learned a
coming.
lot. We learned a lot. How can people reach out to you, Max?
Yeah, I would say any wholesale related questions, networking, talking shop.
If someone's an investor wants to reach out to you, that's cool. A
If somebody
wholesaler.
wants to do marketing with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, man, just find me on Facebook. Just Max Melito on Facebook or the Melito and Coke team on Facebook. We do a lot of stuff on there. I'm always checking my messages on there. Our website's a seller driven website. You can go there if you want. Just melitoandcoke.com. But just come to our Facebook, man, and shoot me a message and we'll talk shop. Don't come to me and ask about how to do fix and flips and how to buy rentals and shit because my niche is wholesale. If you want to talk
Yeah.
shop on wholesale, man,
You want to learn about wholesaling or find a deal or buy a deal from you, call you. Or if you have a distressed property, reach out to them.
yeah, absolutely, of course.
All right.
Is
Well,
there any, before we go, Max, is there any tips, tricks, tools, information sources like podcasts or books that you'd recommend?
Yeah,
besides
man.
the Mike and Jake show.
Yeah.
Yeah, besides Mike and Jake show, obviously. I'm a rich dad, poor dad guy. That was the first book I read that.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, man, catapulted me in. My bookshelf up there, I think I only read like
The seven habits of highly effective people. Is that the yellow one? I think. What else?
yeah, I think so. Maybe. No, the power of habit. This was actually one that I read. This was really good. This was really good, man. I don't even know who wrote this. Charles, I can't even pronounce his name. Doug.
It's okay. Show us the cover.
Yeah. No, dude, like when you're starting out, you got to go, you got to listen to podcasts. You got to go on YouTube University. You got to read some books. I used to listen to the Max Maxwell podcast. I think he's like a developer in Nigeria now, but the basics. He taught me the basics of what to look out for, what systems to use, how to talk to sellers, stuff like that. Chris Prefontaine, he has a really good podcast. He does like the whole sandwich lease stuff, but he brings on investors from all walks of life. And then Rod Cleef has one too. Rod Cleef, he does apartment building syndication. He has some good stuff. Again, the best podcasts that I like to listen to are the ones that they have their niche that they always talk about, but they bring on investors from other avenues
Right.
and other strategies as well. And they give like a holistic view on different investment strategies. So that's what I would recommend if you're starting out. Just kind of don't get shiny object syndrome, but try to understand as much of the real estate world as you can before picking that niche and before diving too deep into one thing.
And where do you see yourself in a year? What's your business goals? Do you have a deal amount of deals that you're trying to do this year, or team size?
We did about 65, 70 deals last year. Every single year we've doubled our revenues. So I'd like to double our revenue this year. I'd like to get up over $1 million in revenue this year. I'd love to do 120, 130 deals this year. My personal goal, though, I want to fully phase myself out of the business, having to jump into different processes and such. I want to be able to sit here in my office and work on just big picture stuff. Just put better tools in my guys' pockets, better systems, better marketing strategies. And I'm pretty close to being able to do that. But other than that, man, it's really like right now, we're really trying to figure out this new niche of being an agent and also wholesaling, how to best capitalize on that. So that's my near future right here, man.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm doing.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And we appreciate all your advice and all the information you shared today. Thank you, Max. Thanks
And
for
we'll,
coming on twice.
Yeah, man.
yes, yes, we have about 3 hours in
I
with
was
each
gonna
other.
say we got 3 hours, and maybe the lost footage will come back one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It might. We're gonna try to get this up today though, once it finishes downloading, and we'll have it up and live, and in a year from now we'd like to check back and see how you're doing with your goals.
Hopefully not a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully not tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, guys. Cool. Well,
You
thanks.
hit record this time, right, Mike?
I, you hit record also. So listen, I'm going to hit end and then we just stay on for a minute, okay? But everyone, thank you. I'm Mike, Jake, Matt. Thank you for listening, and we're out of
Get
here.
to Max Melito on Facebook and melitoandcoach.com, right? For
Yeah.
your website.
And
Good.
we'll put the links on the description.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jake,
Yep.
okay. Let's
All
end it.
right.
Thank you.